everyone. Welcome back to the HeadHunters podcast. I'm excited for another fabulous guest. Deb Kenney and I have been talking about this, I think, for probably a year now or more about the podcast, and she's been very supportive. Deb Kenney is the senior vice president. Is that right? Senior
Vice President of
president
HR and Administration.
for the NSSF, which is the National Shooting Sports Foundation. And I think Deb has some very unique insights about our industry and about how our work culture has evolved. So I wonder, Deb, if you could start a little bit by telling people what you do and kind of how you came into this very, very unique role.
Thank you, Shailene. First of all, I just want to say thank you for having me on your podcast. I'm super excited and I feel very honored. We've known each other for quite some time, and I think you do a fabulous job in what you do for our industry. And again, I just feel honored to be here to chat with you like
We're
this.
thrilled.
Um, you know, what I do is I head up the all of the HR initiatives and back end operations administrative support for the National Shooting Sports Foundation. And I love what I do. I am going to be celebrating 27 years with NSSF this year. So to say that I've had some great times is really an underscore, because I love the changes we've undergone. I've loved the changes that the industry has undergone. I love the people. And how I got here was really you know not necessarily a target, if you would. I arrived.
Yeah.
I had worked previously for 15 years in a manufacturing company. It was privately owned. Ultimately, then it was sold to a larger corporation. We manufactured parts for all various industries: automotive industry, the writing instrument industry. It was across the board. And, one of the things that was invaluable to me during those 15 years was I was so fortunate that the owner of the business and the general manager took me under their wing, and they gave me a 1 year full blown training program where I got to get into the ground floor and work in all aspects of that manufacturing business, from
That is
engineering,
really neat.
procurement, the purchasing, the scheduling, fulfillment. I worked alongside tool makers and machine operators, and that taught me so much.
What
And
a great, I didn't know that.
yeah, I carry that with me, and there's some valuable learnings that I had from that. And one of the things that I took with me throughout my career is always be a sponge. Learn as much as you
Mm.
can in every area that you can. And I think in human resources, that's even more so important, that we have to understand our businesses completely, not just in a niche.
Yeah.
And so being that sponge and learning everything you possibly can, never be that person that says, that's not my area. Every area should be your area, and learn that. And that's really what's helped me along the way.
What a valuable thing to say and share. That, I mean, we didn't even talk about this ahead of time, but I think that I didn't know that about your background, that you had worked there. I knew you'd worked there, but I didn't know you'd gone through that whole training, which makes so much more sense, because whenever we've gotten together and had lunch or communicated, you are very much that person that is always a sponge and curious. I think one way I would describe you is eternally curious. Okay, why is it that way? How could we make it better? And I think that pairs really well into the NSSF as a whole, because the trade association is so powerful and so valuable to our members. I think with the tool, well, the tools are endless. I just think it's the most, one of the most powerful trade associations that I think our company is involved with. We're very lucky to have the NASGW that also is very good. Not all industries have this power behind them.
Right, we do. And we all work very well collaboratively
Yeah.
in sync. and we complement each other. And that's what another thing I
Yeah.
love about this industry, how our businesses really complement each other, and the cohesiveness within is really great.
Yeah. And I think we do generally look where are holes we can plug.
Hmm.
If one organization isn't, and one trade association isn't, that's not really their focus. The other one seems to pick it up and then work together to support, because you all are at each other's organizations and meetings and trade shows supporting.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Very true.
A very successful trade show. Speaking of trade shows, SHOT Show was incredible. And
Super.
yep, the people, just it's that personal touch. Our industry is built on that.
Yeah, at face to face, you mentioned it, face to face, involvement and interaction is really where it is, and this industry loves that. And the SHOT Show was the strongest show we've ever had, Shailene. We had over 52,000 people. We've had more attendees in the past, but one of the things we do surveys to all of our attendees every year, and when we have a lot more than that, it becomes uncomfortable on the
Hmm.
show floor. And we worked really hard at finding the right amount and making sure that the right people are there through vetting these attendees.
Yeah.
And, we've got almost 14 miles of aisles, if you would. So
I
I know
believe
you all feel it on your
it.
feet.
I believe
Uh,
it.
and the other important thing I think about the SHOT Show that I'm sure resonates with a lot of people, but it might be a miss as well, is that everyone's participation in the SHOT Show as exhibitors, as attendees, and so forth is what affords the NSSF the opportunity to do everything we do for the industry, and what we
Yes.
do is broad. So there's a direct key important link to being at the SHOT Show, and then allowing the NSSF to work on your behalf in the industry, and that's what
Yeah.
makes it happen.
Attending, I think personally, well, I wouldn't not attend. I'd have to be in medically incapacitated or
Right.
something. We get real business done. I think there is this common misperception, in my opinion, that this is a dog and pony show. And I think there is a lot of opportunity to see bling. It's like, I call it Disneyland for, we gun lovers and firearms users and owners. But everything is there. It's military, government, law enforcement, commercial, you name it now. And I love the archery that's going to
I
be added. Oh, I
I
saw
was
that.
just
I'm
going
so
to tell you
excited.
that. So next year we're going to
Awesome.
have about 15,000 net square feet of new archery
Fantastic.
exhibitors.
I
Yes.
have goosebumps. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
And there's room though, and that's the nice thing with the Caesars is the aisles are wider,
Yep.
so you're not standing on top of people. So maybe, people mistakenly think it might not have been well attended. It was very well attended from my perspective. And the aisles are wider, you can get around. I mean, the only issue is the memory. The memory says that booth is supposed to be there and it's moved around. So it's just a matter of learning how to read the numbers and figuring out where people are. But it's stunning. The new Caesars is stunning, and
It is.
Ruger and Davidson's being
Yep.
key placeholders over there. Their booths are beautiful,
Great
and one
partners. Yeah.
one can scale back if one does not want to have a 6-story building. One could scale back.
Right. Yeah, we've got a lot of great support from our exhibitors, and we're very fortunate for that. And you're
Oh,
right, the Caesars Forum is beautiful, and that's what's allowed us to expand. And your point is very well taken. Some people may have this perception that it's not as attended heavily
mhm.
as it has before, but we're covering so much more square
Oh
feet,
yeah,
so it's
really
spread
nice.
out, right? And it's easy to get over to the
It
Caesars
is.
Forum.
I
It's
love
not
the green
difficult.
carpet this year. That
We're
was very helpful.
And we're expanding, as always, on improvements for navigation, because when you have a show that large, there's
Yeah.
going to be navigation, confusion. We constantly work at making that better.
Yeah. Well, I really I hope it comes across to our listeners how genuine I feel about the excitement of SHOT Show. And I am one of the lucky ones that was able to get ill after SHOT Show, and that way I now have immunity, so I'm ready for the year. So I think that's a side bonus maybe.
Yes.
But there's a lot of people in one place from all over the world, and I think it was like that. It was like that in the beginning. It's like that now. That it's not going to change. I mean, it's with any trade show I go to. You're going to be around a lot of people. So,
Right. And while SHOT Show is our signature event, if you would, we have a whole events team
mhm,
that works on SHOT Show along with our partners, many partners. But we also NSSF has many other events. I know you've
mhm.
been to some of them. I mean, pack events, and you're a great supporter
Oh,
of our pack, Shailene. And it's an important component of what we can do in Washington, and move the needle along for our industry in DC. But we have also our SHOT Show University educational programs at SHOT
tremendous.
Show. We have
Yep.
our marketing and membership, or marketing and leadership summit that's coming up in May in
I
Savannah.
just I just marked my LinkedIn attending. I'm excited about that. That is
Great.
a really worthwhile attending event. And I hate to even call it an event. It's more of a conference for leaders because you can sit there and network and work with people in our industry. And the speakers are fantastic.
Yep.
Love the panels talking about marketing. It's a worthwhile thing to go to for
It
sure.
is. And who doesn't want to be in Savannah, right? I
Well,
mean,
there
it's a
is that.
beautiful
It's
place to
always in a
be.
nice warm climate.
Right. And then we also have the Range and Retailer Expo
Mhm.
that's in Milwaukee in the summer. It's July, I believe it's July. We also have our Import Export Conference. We do
Reading
that
my mind.
annually.
Very
Yeah.
powerful, and a lot of people attend that. Very
Yeah.
important.
That's in August in DC. So, our events team is
Yeah,
running year round.
yeah,
First of all, SHOT Show is a year round, effort. And
yeah,
then there's all these other important events that we hold. So it's a busy crew.
yeah. And the contribution that the team makes at the NSSF is tremendous. It really is. I do want to touch on the NSSF jobs page because that is a very important tool that I think everyone should know. So, anyone that is looking for a job or wants to find people for a job, this is all available to you on the nssf.org site, / or / whichever that is, jobs. It's on the
Right.
bottom of the page. You can click right on it.
Yeah, if you just go to nssf.org, you can navigate right from there to
Yep.
jobs. And you're right, it's awesome for the industry, for those
Yeah.
looking for a job and for those looking to fill a position. We post our jobs on there. A lot of companies do. There's a lot of options in how you can post your position. And we get a lot of stats on, visits to that site and so forth. You can, even if you're looking for a job, you can load your resume
Yeah.
so that, any company looking can make a match.
It's
If you're
very easy to use from my perspective. If you're looking for a job, you can register on the site. And if you're an employer or like us looking to hire people, it's very easy to use. It's very fast, very efficient, and it's very automated where you can still personalize it with your logo. You can put your information and you can even make it confidential if you want.
Yep. And if you're a member, the cost to do that posting is discounted. So I think it's a great resource. I
Yeah.
totally agree with you, and we've got a lot of positive feedback from that. I'm glad that we have that for our industry
We
to
need it.
fill jobs and find jobs.
Yep, it's very important. What I like about this is as we've all transitioned over the last couple years, I love that the NSSF has done so as well. This is not an archaic organization. Even in the job postings, you guys have made it where you can post for remote work. And it used to be that it was, years ago, none of us knew what to do with that. And now you guys, the team has also gone to a hybrid model, haven't you?
We've undergone some changes in the last couple of years, not unlike a lot of businesses, largely as a result of COVID. We changed the way we work, and some people are staying with that change now. So what we do now is we have a remote operation. our office space is set up in a way where we have this great collaboration, comfortable collaboration space where people can sit in a lounge chair, a cocktail table, and they can have their laptop and really have a more different kind of environment to collaborate. And it's a space where you can feel more creative, less less structured, and
Hmm.
it's a great way to connect with peers and colleagues. Then we have offices where, for those people, and there are some people who do love to come in more frequently or every day, they have an assigned office. And then we have a number of offices that we call hotel offices.
Oh,
And so we have a
interesting.
whole scheduling system online in our staff intranet. Employees can go in and they just schedule an office for themselves.
That's great.
Our IT team has done a phenomenal job whereby we are completely a laptop culture and everything's on your laptop. So you work in the office, you bring your laptop, you just plug it into a docking station. Every hotel office has two big screens, a keyboard,
Wow, that's
speakers,
great.
everything you need. You take that laptop, unplug, and then you can go home and you plug in at home.
Right.
So your environment is the same, and this is working beautifully. However, I will say, for those who have entered into this hybrid environment or those considering it, there can be some
Yeah.
challenges. And
Yeah.
culture is one of them that can suffer in a
Hmm.
remote environment. So you have to really find ways to keep your culture strong. I think you need to work with your managers and leadership department heads and make sure that they know how to manage people remotely.
Yeah.
How do
It's
you
very
measure
difficult.
success?
Hmm.
And identify measuring success. So we're working at all that, and trying to keep people connected in a way that's meaningful.
I think that is probably one of the biggest things that we all, in my company included, have had to learn how to do. Even though I worked remotely for years, bringing on a team definitely has had its painful points and its challenges. And a lot of that is me learning. And, we use Microsoft Teams to communicate during the day, but we don't expect someone to sit there at their desk. They can work anytime they need to. But I think keeping a culture, like you're saying, and keeping everyone on the same page and on projects, like you guys have all these events and tons of projects. It's all this new software that is always updating and always changing, and someone is always inventing something even better. It takes someone behind the scenes to be wrangling this stuff
Hmm.
because the needs change very quickly.
Very much so. But I think we've done a great job of creating that mobile
Hmm.
flexibility
That's great.
with consistency. And we're still working through it like everybody
Yeah.
else.
Yeah.
Nothing is a perfect world, but it's about knowing where your opportunities are to do better. And we continue to evolve. As I said, 27 years here. Our
Yeah.
organization today is very different than it
Oh,
was back then.
night and day, right?
Oh
Think
yeah.
of any of us 27 years ago.
Right. Right.
One of my concerns, I don't have an answer to this, and I'm not saying you do either, but I think one of my concerns looking at our talent and our workforce, and I think this is where maybe have had conversations, but one of my concerns is how will people be mentored? How will they learn? And if you're not in the same office, I know for our company, it is hard to learn this job when someone isn't sitting in the same office. And I had the benefit of learning in an office. So, all of these companies, all over the world in every industry, it is a challenge to know how you will mentor and lead and, how people learn remotely versus being in the same building. So,
You're so right. And, you don't want to see those in their earlier stages of their career not
mhm,
have that advancement opportunity because of a disconnect or, not learning. Like I said before, that curiosity, you learn
yeah,
wherever you can. And if you remove those opportunities or isolate people from those opportunities, it can be a challenge. And for us and hiring people, hiring is always a challenge.
yeah.
It is your forte, and making the right match is a challenge at times. But our philosophy, and I know this may come across a little harsh, and it's not meant to be, but we're slow to hire, quick to fire.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is when we're hiring somebody, we don't rush into it. We make sure that we've done our due diligence and that we're hiring the right person. And what's important, more important to us, is the people skills, the soft skills, the behavioral and interpersonal skills. Because while those can be modified,
Hmm.
not so much to the degree of being able to teach somebody the hard skills.
Right.
So we really hire strongly for culture and
Yeah.
all those soft skills. And you know early on if it's right or if it's just not the right match. So it's important to recognize when it's not,
Yeah.
and to make, take steps to try to get that person on board. But if you know it's not right, then it's not right.
Yeah.
So hire the right people, be confident that you have hired the right person, and give them all the tools and resources and learning opportunities to succeed. That's what we do.
And don't you think the people that you're hiring aren't, isn't it more important now than ever that they are, I don't know if they need to be assertive, but they need to be somewhat outgoing, asking for help and going to get the tools they need and ask for or go out and get learning on their own. I think people who are not willing to do that because it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable for any of us. We just
Hmm.
make ourselves do it, right?
Right.
So I think I think that's part of this remote work, and I love the hybrid model because that helps people who maybe aren't as outgoing to have that opportunity to be in person. And I don't think it's a negative. I think we're all made uniquely the way we are.
That's true. And it's a challenge, as I say too. We have employees in 13, 14 different states.
Is that right?
And that was not due to COVID. That's
Yeah.
just, essentially,
Yeah.
where we are. We have 30% of our staff is our government affairs staff,
Wow.
so we have an office in Washington, D.C., where our
Hmm.
federal, GR folks work out of. And then we have our state GR employees doing lobbying across the country. And then we have, a sporadic few other employees working in various other states. So to manage all these people in 14 different
Yeah.
states, two separate offices, it takes a village.
Yeah. Yeah. It does. It does. Well, I really appreciate you being on this with me and doing this and talking about the NSSF and sharing your knowledge and experience, because it is really important that we share that and that other people can hear what works or what hasn't worked. And I think this is one of the ways we can overcome or try to overcome not all being in the same place. I know that these video things have not been my favorite, but it has given us the opportunity to form friendships and relationships professionally and personally that we wouldn't have had 10 years ago.
It has, you're right.
So there are some benefits, even if we all growl about it.
I agree.
But the good news is we still have wonderful in-person events. And I know for me, I do I do attend the SHOT Show, the Marketing and Leadership Summit. And, I may not be at all the fly-in events or maybe the import-export that isn't as applicable to me as it is other people. But I think that's the beauty of the NSSF. Your members are broad. You have dealers, you have distributors, you have manufacturers, and you even have recruiters.
Right. Yes. And
You just never
thankful
know.
to you. We've got
It takes
we've got
all of
great
us to
recruiters.
make the thing go around.
That's right. That's
Well,
right.
thank you, Deb, very much. I appreciate your time, and I'm sure we'll do this again in the near future.
Well, thanks for having me again, and I look forward to seeing you in May
You can count
at
on it.
the Marketing and Leadership Summit, and you among a lot of other great folks.
That's right, Savannah, here we come.
You bet.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to the Headhunters Northwest podcast.